When two frightened twin girls whispered, "Sir, our mom didn't come home," the school janitor froze, because moments later a four-star general recognized him and uncovered a past no one was prepared for. What happened next changed their lives forever. The hallways of Ridgewood Elementary were usually full of noise, laughing children, teachers calling out reminders, the hum of normal life. But at 8:47 p.m., those same hallways felt like a different world. Empty, echoing. Only the soft squeak of a mop moving across the tiled floor broke the silence. Ethan Cole, the night janitor, moved slowly, carefully. He wasn't in a rush. He never was. People assumed he worked quietly because he was shy or withdrawn. But the truth was deeper. Silence was the only thing that kept him steady. Silence didn't ask questions. Silence didn't judge. Silence didn't remind him of who he used to be. A single father to twin daughters, Lily and Lee, Ethan didn't complain about the long hours. He had promised himself years ago that no matter how hard life became, his girls would never feel unsafe. He often whispered that promise to himself while scrubbing desks or wiping chalk from boards. That night he was finishing up in the third grade wing. Outside, the November wind beat against the windows. The old school building grumbled and cracked as it always did when the temperature dropped. Ethan checked the clock on the wall, 8:50. 10 more minutes, then he could lock up and walk home with the girls. Their apartment was only 5 blocks away, a tiny place above a laundromat, but it was theirs. Safe, familiar. Ethan dipped the mop into the bucket, humming quietly to himself. He didn't hear footsteps. He didn't hear the soft sniffles. He didn't sense anything until 2 small shadows appeared at the end of the hallway, standing very still. "Daddy!" The mop slid from his hands. His heart jumped. There in the half-lit hallway stood Lily and Lee. Identical in face, but not in spirit. Lily with her messy ponytail and brave little stare. Lee with her wide eyes and the stuffed rabbit she refused to sleep without. But tonight, both girls looked the same. Scared. Ethan rushed toward them, kneeling down, wiping their tears with his thumbs. "What are you doing here? You should be in the reading room with Miss Holly." Lily swallowed hard. "Miss Holly went home." Ethan frowned. "She left you alone." Lee shook her head. "She said Mommy was coming to pick us up." Those words hit him like cold water. "Mommy," he repeated, confused. "Girls, your mom." Lily interrupted, voice trembling. We told her Mommy didn't come home. We waited and waited, and she said she had to go." Ethan felt the hallway tilt slightly. He pulled the girls closer. What were they talking about? Their mother had been gone for years. She had left when the twins were 2, disappearing into a world Ethan never wanted to know. The girls barely remembered her. He had told them the truth gently. She wasn't coming back. It was a hurtful truth, but a necessary one. Now, hearing them say these words stirred something deeply painful. He kept his voice calm. "Girls, why did you tell Miss Holly that Mommy didn't come home?" Lee squeezed her rabbit. "Because everyone at school talks about their mommies. They pick them up. They make lunch. They read stories. And when Miss Holly told us to draw our families, we drew you." Lily nodded quickly, tears returning. "And the kids laughed. They said we must be lying. They said everybody has a mommy. So we told Miss Holly that Mommy was supposed to come today but didn't." Ethan felt his breath hitch. He pulled them into his arms again. "Oh, sweetheart, you never have to lie to feel normal." But he could see it on their faces. The loneliness they carried silently. The kind kids didn't know how to express without breaking. He closed his eyes, holding them as if he could shield them from every hurt in the world. For a moment the hallway was silent. Just Ethan breathing, the girls sniffing, their tiny hands gripping his jacket. Then he felt something else. A presence. A tall figure stood at the far end of the hallway, just beyond the flickering light. Ethan didn't know he was being watched. He didn't know that someone had witnessed the whole emotional moment, every word, every tear. That man was General Marcus Hale, a four-star general known for his cold discipline, intimidating voice, and stone-faced control. He had arrived at the school late to inspect the setup for the next day's Veterans Day ceremony. He was on his way out when he heard the girls' small voices echoing down the hall. He had stopped walking. He had listened. He had seen Ethan kneel and gather the twins into his arms. And something inside the general, the part of him that had seen war and loss and broken families, tightened in a way he didn't expect. His sharp eyes drifted to Ethan's arms, noticing the faint ink hidden under his sleeve. He knew that posture, he knew that quiet pain. But Ethan didn't notice him. He was too focused on his daughters, wiping their cheeks, calming their shaking hands. "Come on," Ethan whispered softly. "Let's get your coats. We'll go home. Daddy here." He stood, lifting Lee gently while Lily held his hand. The weight of their emotions pressed heavily on him. It wasn't just a bad night. It was a sign, a reminder of how fragile everything was, how easily a child's heart could crack under the pressure of the world. As they walked down the hallway, Ethan paused, sensing something. He turned slightly and saw a tall silhouette near the exit doors. Before he could speak, the figure stepped back, disappearing into the darkness outside. Ethan frowned but didn't think much of it. Probably a teacher leaving late, he told himself. He didn't know that the man watching him was one of the most powerful military leaders in the country. He didn't know that this moment, this fragile, heartbreaking moment, would change everything in the days to come. He didn't know that someone had recognized not his uniform, not his face, but something far deeper. His struggle and his strength. The night that seemed like a simple moment of fear from two little girls was, in truth, the beginning of a chain of events that would pull Ethan's past into the present, and force a general to step down from his world of rank and protocol into the quiet life of a janitor and his daughters. A storm was coming. But for now, Ethan held his girls close, whispering comfort, unaware that his life had already begun to shift. Morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows of Ridgewood Elementary, casting golden stripes across the cafeteria floor. The Veterans Day ceremony was only a few hours away, and the school buzzed with hurried preparation. Teachers arranged chairs, students practiced their songs, and the principal double-checked schedules with a clipboard clutched tightly in her hands. In the center of it all, silent, unnoticed, Ethan Cole pushed a rolling cart of folded chairs across the gym floor. His daughters were in class, safe and occupied. He had forced a smile onto his face when dropping them off. The memory of last night still pressed on him, but he hid it well. Years of hardship had taught him how to hide fear behind calm eyes. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and bent down to fix a wobbly chair. As he pushed the sleeve of his shirt up, the faint outline of a tattoo appeared, one he rarely let the world see. A faded Marine Raider emblem. Beside it, 3 small names. Brothers he had lost. He never told anyone at the school what it meant. No one asked. People usually saw only what they expected: a janitor, quiet and tired. Not a former Marine. Not a man who had carried a rifle through the dust of far-off deserts. Not a man who had lost almost everything before finding hope in 2 little girls. But someone was watching. At the far end of the gym stood General Marcus Hale, wearing a crisp uniform that seemed to shine under the fluorescent lights. His posture was rigid, commanding, intimidating. Teachers gave him respectful nods yet avoided starting conversations. He was the kind of man whose presence forced people to straighten their backs. He wasn't supposed to arrive this early, but Hale believed in inspecting things personally. It was a habit built over decades. You don't trust a report, you trust your own eyes. And that morning, those eyes landed on Ethan. At first, the general simply observed him in the distant, absent way one notices staff in a building. But when Ethan leaned over the chairs and the tattoo peeked out, Hale's gaze froze. His breath stopped. The emblem. The lettering, the placement. It wasn't random ink. It was the mark of an elite Marine Raider unit that had been deployed under his command many years ago. The general's boots echoed sharply as he stepped closer, slow, deliberate, almost hesitant. For a man known for certainty, this moment rattled him. He stood a few feet behind Ethan, studying the tattoo, studying the man. The janitor was older, thinner, worn in a way Hale recognized. Trauma had a posture, a rhythm, a silence. Hale had seen that silence in men who never came back from war, even if their bodies did. He cleared his throat. "Excuse me." Ethan turned quickly, startled. "Oh, sir, I didn't see you. Sorry if I'm in the way." General Hale didn't answer immediately. He was staring at Ethan, not his uniform, not his cart, but his eyes. "Where did you get that tattoo?" Hale asked quietly. Ethan glanced at his arm, then tugged the sleeve down. "A long time ago." Hale took a step closer. "I'm familiar with that emblem, very familiar." Ethan straightened, feeling a coldness creep up his spine. "It's just an old memory, sir." "No," the general corrected softly. "It's not. That's 3rd Raider Rescue Group, Afghanistan, Sector 9. Only 12 men served under that unit number." Ethan's throat tightened. Hale's eyes narrowed, searching his face. Then his voice dropped into a whisper. "Corporal Ethan Cole, is that you?" Ethan felt everything inside him stop. He hadn't heard that title, corporal, in almost a decade. It sounded foreign, like a name from another lifetime. "I'm not that person anymore," he murmured. "That's not an answer," Hale said gently, though his voice carried the weight of command. Ethan turned away, pretending to fix the chairs again. "Sir, I'm just a janitor now. Please let it go." But Hale didn't move. He stayed rooted, watching the man who once risked his life in a burning convoy extraction, the same operation that had changed the general forever. Hale's voice softened in a rare way. "You saved lives, you bled for this country, and you vanished. I tried to find you years ago." Ethan's shoulders tensed. There was nothing left to find. The general recognized the pain in those words. Men who say nothing is left are the men who lost too much. Before Hale could respond, the principal hurried over, breaking the tension. "General Hale, come, come. We need you to approve the podium placement, and the mayor wants to greet you early." Hale gave a curt nod, but kept his eyes on Ethan for a long second, an unspoken message hanging between them. This wasn't over. Later that morning, Ethan carried 2 boxes of decorations across the parking lot when he noticed Hale standing near the curb, speaking to a security officer. The general seemed distracted, glancing repeatedly toward Ethan and away again. Suddenly, the officer pointed toward the street. A beat-up silver sedan had driven slowly past the school gates. Hale squinted at it. "You see that vehicle before?" The officer shook his head. "Been circling twice now. I thought it was a parent." Ethan followed their gaze. His stomach dropped. He knew that car. He knew it too well. Ray Donovan's car. Ray, the man he had tried to expose years ago. Ray, the man who had threatened him. Ray, the man he prayed his daughters would never cross paths with. His chest tightened painfully. Why was Ray anywhere near the school? Why now, after so many years of silence? Before he could think, Ethan stepped backward, almost tripping over the box he held. Hale noticed instantly. "You know that vehicle?" Hale asked sharply. Ethan hesitated. His heart hammered. He nodded faintly. Hale's expression changed, no longer curious but protective. "Who is he?" the general demanded softly. Ethan swallowed hard. "Someone from before, someone I hoped was gone." The sedan sped up, disappearing around the corner, but the image burned in Ethan's mind like fire. General Hale placed a firm hand on Ethan's shoulder, not out of authority but solidarity. "Cole," Hale said quietly, "whatever this is, you're not facing it alone." Ethan shook his head, overwhelmed. You shouldn't get involved. Hale's eyes hardened with loyalty forged in battlefields. A leader never leaves his men behind. Not then, not now. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something he thought he'd lost, someone standing beside him. But he didn't realize the truth yet. Ray Donovan wasn't circling the school for the twins. He was circling for Ethan. And the secret Ethan carried, one he thought he had buried forever, was about to pull everyone into danger. Ethan Cole tried to convince himself that what he saw was a coincidence. Maybe it was Ray's car. Maybe he was tired. Maybe the stress from last night was making him see ghosts from the past. But his heart knew the truth before his mind could deny it. He knew that rusted silver sedan. He remembered the dent on the back bumper, the one Ray bragged about earning in a street race years ago. He remembered the two dark tinted windows, the ones Ray installed himself to avoid being seen. He remembered it all because he had spent years trying to forget it. Yet here it was, circling the school. Ethan's hand stayed cold long after the car disappeared around the corner. General Hale didn't take his eyes off Ethan the entire time. His instincts, sharpened by decades of leading men into danger, felt something shifting in the air. The way Ethan froze, the way his face drained, the way his breathing changed. He'd seen that reaction 100 times from soldiers who suddenly recognized threats they thought they'd left behind. Cole, Hale said in a low, steady voice, "Talk to me." The janitor swallowed, forcing himself to stay calm. "It's nothing. I don't want to cause trouble." "That wasn't nothing," Hale replied firmly. "You reacted like you saw a ghost." Ethan didn't answer. He picked up the boxes at his feet and began walking toward the maintenance room, pretending everything was fine. But Hale wasn't letting it slide. He followed. "Ethan," he said, dropping the formality for the first time, "let me help." Ethan stopped. The echo of the hallway filled the silence between them. "You shouldn't get involved," he whispered. "People around me, they get hurt." "You think you're protecting someone by staying silent," Hale said. "But silence never protected anyone. It only delays the danger." Ethan looked down, jaw clenched. "You don't understand." "I understand more than you think," Hale replied softly. Before Ethan could respond, the principal rushed over again. "General Hale, the mayor's staff is inside waiting for you. They're asking if you want to join them for the press interview." Hale shot a quick glance at Ethan, one that said this isn't over, then walked away. Ethan spent the rest of the morning working in a fog. Every creak outside the window made him flinch. Every passing car made his pulse spike. Twice, he dropped tools. Once, he forgot where he placed his keys. Fear had a way of shrinking the world around him. He tried to reassure himself. Ray had no reason to come back. Ray didn't know where he lived now. Ray didn't know about the school. Ray didn't know about the girls. At least, Ethan hoped he didn't. But one thing kept circling his thoughts. Why now? Why appear after so many years? Why here at Ethan's workplace? He tried to focus on cleaning the stage for the ceremony, but his mind darted back to the twins. Lily and Lee had survived so much without knowing it. They were his world, his anchor, his reason to wake up every day. The thought of Ray, dangerous, unpredictable Ray, anywhere near them made Ethan's stomach twist painfully. At lunchtime, Ethan slipped into the reading room to check on his daughters. He found them sitting in tiny chairs, coloring pictures of American flags for the ceremony. Lee looked up first. "Daddy." Lily ran over, hugging his leg tightly. Both girls were smiling, bright, innocent, unaware of the danger swirling around them. Ethan forced a smile. "You girls doing okay?" he asked. They nodded eagerly. "Ms. Holly says we sing the loudest," Lee said proudly. Ethan knelt down and kissed the tops of their heads. "Good. I'll be right outside if you need me." But even as he spoke, his eyes flickered toward the windows. He couldn't help himself. He was looking for the silver sedan. At 3:10 p.m., after the ceremony ended and most visitors left, Ethan carried trash bags toward the dumpster behind the school. The wind was colder now, rustling the fallen leaves along the pavement. He pushed open the heavy metal door leading outside and stopped dead. Across the parking lot, sitting under a leafless tree, was the silver sedan. The engine was off. The window, just one, was lowered halfway. A cigarette burned between two fingers, resting on the window frame. Ethan instantly recognized the hand. Ray had a scar on his index knuckle from a knife fight years ago. His pulse surged so fast he felt dizzy. Ray wasn't circling anymore. He was waiting. Watching. Ethan stumbled backward, letting the door slam shut. His breathing spiraled. Memories flipped through his mind like old film. Ray's threats, the shouting, the night his ex-wife vanished. The fear in her voice the last time she called him. He rested his back against the cold wall. His hands shook violently. For years he had lived quietly, faithfully, building a new life. And now the past sat only yards away, staring through tinted glass. Cole! Ethan jumped. General Hale stood a few steps behind him, arms crossed, jaw firm. "I've been looking for you," Hale said. "Your face is white as chalk." Ethan forced a swallow. "He's here." "Who?" Ethan grabbed Hale's sleeve and pulled him toward the small window in the door. There, his voice cracked. "Ray Donovan." Hale peered outside, eyeing the car like a threat on a battlefield. "He's just watching." Ethan nodded. "He doesn't make moves right away. He makes you scared first." Hale's expression turned cold, controlled, dangerous. "Stay here," he ordered. "No," Ethan grabbed his arm. "You don't understand what he's capable of. Don't go out there. He could have a weapon." Hale paused, studying Ethan's terrified expression. "Then we handle this smartly," Hale murmured. He pulled out his phone and dialed the security office. "I want officers to sweep the perimeter, quietly, no confrontation." Then he turned back to Ethan, placing a powerful hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone," he repeated. But Ethan shook his head. "If he's here, it means he found us. He found them." Hale's eyes sharpened. "Your daughters." Ethan nodded silently. Hale didn't hesitate. "Then we protect them. Tonight you're not going home alone." "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. "I'm following you," Hale said, "all the way, until I know you and those girls are safe." Ethan stared at him, unable to speak for a moment. The idea felt unreal. A four-star general escorting a janitor and his twins home. But Hale meant it. As they both looked back toward the parking lot, the silver sedan slowly pulled away again. The tires rolled silently across the asphalt. Ray had seen Hale. And Ray wasn't stupid. He wasn't running. He was planning. That night, Hale followed Ethan home in his black SUV, headlights steady, never losing sight of the small walkway leading to the apartment above the laundromat. When the girls were tucked into bed, Ethan stepped onto the balcony and saw the general leaning against his vehicle, arms folded, guarding the street. Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years. A little bit of safety. A little bit of hope. But deep down, he knew the reprieve wouldn't last. Ray Donovan was back. And he was coming for something Ethan didn't even know he'd taken. The next morning, Ridgewood Elementary felt different, quieter, heavier, as if the air itself sensed the danger that had crept into Ethan's life. Teachers smiled as usual, children chattered happily, but beneath the surface, Ethan felt the tremble of a storm. He barely slept. General Hale insisted on staying outside the apartment until sunrise. Ethan appreciated it, but it didn't erase the fear that had been reawakened. Every sound in the night, the rumble of a passing motorcycle, the honk of a distant car, made him jump. Ray Donovan wasn't just a bad memory. He was a threat that had finally found Ethan. By 9 a.m., Ethan sat inside the small maintenance office at the school. A steaming cup of coffee grew cold in his hands. He stared at the wall, but his mind replayed the same questions over and over. Why did Ray come back? What did he want? Were the girls safe? The door opened quietly. General Hale stepped inside. He wasn't wearing his formal uniform today. Instead, he had on a dark jacket, crisp shirt, and the kind of expression that made even grown men straighten in their chairs. But when he saw Ethan, something softened in his eyes. "You look like you didn't sleep," Hale said. "I didn't," Ethan replied honestly. Hale sat across from him. He waited, giving Ethan space to speak. But Ethan stayed silent, gripping the coffee cup so hard his knuckles turned white. "Ethan," Hale said gently, "I need you to trust me. If Ray is a threat, I need to know what kind he is." Ethan shut his eyes, exhaling shakily. "It's complicated." Hale leaned forward. "Most dangerous things are." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then slowly, Ethan began. "When I came home from Afghanistan, I wasn't okay," he said. "Not physically, not mentally. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't think straight, couldn't fit into normal life." Hale nodded. He had seen it many times before, soldiers who survived war but came home wounded in invisible ways. "I took any job I could get." Ray was hearing at his auto shop. It was small, rough, but he paid cash, didn't ask questions. "That's not unusual for vets trying to get back on their feet," Hale said. "At first," Ethan continued, "I thought he was just a loud-mouthed boss who liked trouble, but after a while I noticed things." "What things?" Hale asked. Ethan swallowed hard. Cars coming in at odd hours, people dropping off envelopes, workers disappearing if they asked too many questions. Hale's expression tightened. He could guess where this was going. "Ray was involved in things that weren't legal," Ethan said quietly. "Weapons, drugs, who knows what else. And you got caught up in it." "I refused to be part of it," Ethan said quickly. "But Ray didn't like that. He said I owed him for giving me a job, said I'd be useful. That's when things got worse." Ethan stared down at his trembling hands. "My ex-wife, she had problems of her own. She made bad decisions. She trusted wrong people. Ray used her as leverage. Told me if I didn't help him move shipments, he'd make sure she never saw daylight again." Hale's jaw clenched, so he threatened her. "And me, and eventually the girls." "But something changed," Hale said. "You got out." "Barely," Ethan whispered. "One night I tried to report him. I called an officer I served with, told him everything. But Ray found out. He smashed up my place. He put a gun to my ex-wife's head and said if I said another word, he'd take the girls and disappear." Hale closed his eyes quietly, the kind of reaction only a man who'd seen cruelty could have. "I quit the job," Ethan said. "I moved twice. My ex-wife ran off trying to escape the people Ray worked with. The last time she called me, she sounded terrified, then she was gone." "And Ray blamed you," Hale murmured. "He said I owed him for the trouble I caused, but I never took anything. I never kept anything. I left everything behind." Hale watched him carefully. "If that's true, why is he back now?" Ethan shook his head helplessly. "I don't know. I swear I don't know." But Hale didn't believe that nothing existed. Men like Ray didn't chase ghosts. They chased something real. And then came the interruption. A knock on the open doorway. Principal Camden stood there, pale and shaky. "General Hale," she murmured, "the police want to speak with you. And Ethan, they need you too." Ethan stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. "Are my girls okay?" "They're in class safe," Camden said quickly. "This is about something else." Hale placed a steady hand on Ethan's back. "Let's go." The police officer waiting near the main entrance held a tablet in his hand. When he saw Hale approaching, he straightened instantly. "We did that perimeter sweep you requested last night," the officer said. Found something near the northwest gate. Ethan felt his heart pounding at his ribs. Found what? He asked. The officer turned the tablet screen toward them. A grainy image appeared. It was the silver sedan, Ray's car, parked behind the dumpsters. But that wasn't the startling part. The shocking part was the second figure standing outside the car. A woman. Tall, hoodie, face hidden, looking toward the school. Hale narrowed his eyes. Who is she? The officer shook his head. We don't know, but she was searching around the building before Ray arrived. Ethan's voice cracked. She was searching for what? We don't know that either, the officer said. We only know they weren't working together. They arrived separately. Hale stiffened. 2 threats. Not one. That meant something deeper was happening. And the woman, whoever she was, seemed to be looking for something on school property. Ethan's breathing became shallow. Why would she be looking for me? Or the girls? What does Ray think I have? Hale put a hand firmly on Ethan's shoulder again. Ethan, listen to me. You said earlier Ray believes you have something he wants, evidence, information, something he thinks you kept. But I didn't, Ethan insisted. I swear I did. Then someone else did, Hale said quietly. The words hit Ethan like a blow. Someone else? Who? He shook his head. I don't understand, sir. Hale stepped closer, eyes sharper than ever. You're right, he said. You didn't have anything because someone else was keeping it hidden. Ethan's voice trembled. Who? Before Hale could answer, footsteps echoed from behind. Principal Camden approached, hands clasped tightly. I think I might know, she whispered. Ethan stared at her in confusion. Hale turned slowly. Mrs. Camden, he said, what do you know? Her voice shook as she replied. I used to work with Ray Donovan 15 years ago, and I kept something from him. Ethan felt his entire world tilt. The secret he thought had destroyed his life wasn't even his. It belonged to someone else. And now everything and everyone was in danger. Morning sunlight filtered softly through the hospital room blinds, painting thin stripes of gold across the quiet floor. The night had finally loosened its grip, but the weight of everything that had happened still hung in the air. The twins slept curled up on a couch pushed against the wall, wrapped in blankets the nurses had brought. Their faces, usually bright with laughter, looked small and exhausted. Mark stood by the window, staring at the city waking up beyond the glass. His hands were clenched, though he didn't realize it. Every muscle in him felt tight, as if his body was waiting for something terrible to fall from the sky. He kept replaying the moment the general recognized him. The disbelief, the confusion, the memory of a battlefield neither had expected to face again. General Rowan entered quietly, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He set one beside Mark without a word. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Rowan broke the silence. You didn't tell anyone you survived. Mark exhaled slowly. Sir, I honestly thought you wouldn't want to hear from me. After the ambush, after my leg injury, I felt like I had failed the team. Failed you. The general shook his head hard. Soldier, you saved us. You saved me. I thought you were gone. All these years I carried the guilt of losing a man who should have come home. Mark's eyes lowered. Coming home wasn't easy. I wasn't myself. Jessica, she helped me rebuild. The twins gave me purpose. But the past, I tried to bury it, sir. Rowan studied him, really studied him, taking in not just the uniform of a janitor but the history written in the man's posture, the quiet strength in his eyes. You didn't bury your past, Rowan said softly. You carried it alone. Before Mark could reply, the doctor entered with a clipboard. The room stiffened. The girls woke up instantly, their frightened eyes darting to the doctor. Is Mom okay? Rose asked, sitting up fast. The doctor smiled gently. She's stable, she's awake though a bit weak. You can see her soon. The twins hugged each other with a breathless relief that made Mark's chest ache. He closed his eyes for a moment, thanking whatever mercy had finally shown up. General Rowan watched the family silently. Something shifted in his expression, something determined. When the doctor left, Rowan stepped closer. "Mark, what's the truth here? Why are you working 2 jobs? Why didn't Jessica tell anyone she was struggling? Why are the girls looking after everything like adults?" Mark swallowed hard. He wasn't used to sharing personal battles, but last night had cracked something open. "I didn't want the girls to grow up ashamed," he said quietly. "Jessica's illness got worse. Some days she couldn't get out of bed. I tried to keep the world moving, bills paid, food on the table, but I failed. I failed all of them." Lily and Rose rushed to him and wrapped their arms around his waist. "You didn't fail us, Dad," Lily said, her voice trembling. "You're our hero," Rose whispered. Mark kissed their heads, but his eyes remained heavy. "General, I didn't ask for help because I didn't think anyone would care." Rowan's voice came out firm, almost sharp. "You should have asked me, or someone. You fought for this country, and this country owes you more than a mop and a broken paycheck." Mark straightened, uncomfortable with the pity. "Sir, I'm not asking for charity." "I know," Rowan replied. "You never would, that's the problem." He paused, then asked the twins, "May I speak to your dad alone for a moment?" The girls nodded and stepped out, leaving the 2 men facing each other with a tension that felt both heavy and hopeful. Rowan pulled a small notebook from his coat pocket. "Mark, I'm going to be direct. You have 2 choices now." Mark hesitated. "What choices?" Rowan looked him straight in the eyes. "1. Continue living like this, working yourself into the ground, barely surviving, watching your family suffer silently." Mark's jaw tightened. "And the second," he whispered. General Rowan's voice dropped to something deep, powerful. "Come back not as a soldier, not to fight, but as the man you were meant to be. I want you on my staff, a civilian position. Good pay, full benefits, housing support, medical coverage for your wife, stability for your girls." Mark blinked, stunned. Rowan went on, "I'm not offering this because of charity. I'm offering it because you're a man of integrity, grit, and loyalty. Men like you don't just appear, they're built through hardship. I need someone I can trust, someone who understands real responsibility." Mark's voice cracked. "Sir, I don't know if I can live up to something like that. I'm not the soldier I used to be." The general stepped closer, eyes steady. "Mark, that man never left. He just changed roles." For the first time in years, Mark felt a spark of something he thought he had lost: worth. His throat tightened, his eyes burned. "But sir, what about the janitor job, the school? The kids depend on me." The general put a hand on his shoulder, something he had never done in the field. "They'll find another janitor, but your girls will never find another father, and I can't find another man like you." The room filled with thick silence. Then Rowan said something that sealed everything. "Let me help you, Mark. It's time someone held the line for you." Mark looked down at his scarred hands, hands that had fought battles, carried burdens, wiped tears, and cleaned hallways just to survive. He took a slow breath. "Sir, I accept." Rowan smiled, relief washing over his stern face. "Good, your first responsibility is simple: take care of your family. The rest we'll handle together." The twins burst back into the room, unable to wait longer. "Dad, Mom's calling for us." Mark bent down to their level. "Girls, everything is going to change now, for the better." The twins looked at the general, then at their father, then back. "Is he helping us?" Rose asked. Rowan kneeled in front of them. "I'm going to make sure your dad has the life he deserves, and I'm going to make sure you 2 never worry alone again." Lily threw her arms around him without hesitation, startling the stern man. Rose followed, squeezing tightly. For a moment, the general froze. then gently wrapped his arms around both girls. Mark stood back, watching the scene with tears pricking his eyes. As the four of them walked down the hallway toward Jessica's recovery room, the hospital lights glowed brighter, almost as if something unseen had finally shifted. A family no longer alone. A soldier finally seen. A general repaying a debt that had lived in his heart for years. And somewhere deep inside, Mark felt the weight of the world lift, one long, overdue breath at a time.